Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the Tier 6 French Tech Tree Tank Destroyer, the ARL V39. Now if you do like the video, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below, as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the ARL V39, one of you guys asked for this tank, for a video on it. And because it is one of those tanks that you don't really see that often, or you don't see on YouTube and stuff like that. So I thought, it's perfect. If there is any Tech Tree tanks that you want to see on the channel, like that's tier 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, don't be afraid to ask. I'll note it down somewhere and I'll put it on the list of things that I need to play, and then we can get a video on it, like I did with the ARL V39, because it's one of those tanks that someone asked for, and I went, that's quite interesting, you know, because it's a fairly interesting tier 6 TD, because there's two ways of playing it, or should I say, two options for it, right? And it's like, yeah, okay, let's go work on that, and, well, here we are, we've got a video on it, because, you know, tier 10s get asked for all the time, but there are some Tech Tree tanks that you don't really see that often. And I think the VK3002D is another one, for example, that you see occasionally. But if you were talking about on YouTube streams, etc., you know, looking at all that sort of stuff, you don't see it that often. It's not that much. Well, it's not played that much, right? So it's one of those things that you could go cover. And the ARL V39 is another one of those. And it is a fairly interesting tier 6 TD for that sort of stuff. And that is because this tank has two gun options. It has two gun options, and both are pretty nice for the vehicle. You've got this 90mm that you're seeing in this first replay, and then you've got a 105mm that you're going to see in the second replay. Now, this 90mm gun here that you're seeing is the same gun that you will get on the FCM 50T Liberté. It's the same gun that you'll get on the CDC. You know, it's a tier 8 gun on a tier 6 tank destroyer. It's got 212 penetration on its standard AP rounds, with 259 penetration on the premium APCR rounds, which means as a tier 6 TD, you pen everything you're going to face, because the penetration is fantastic on this vehicle. And yeah, it's really lovely. You've got pretty decent DPM at 2.5k DPM as well, with that 240 alpha gun. You've got 1,000 meters a second shell velocity on the standard AP, 1,250 meters a second shell velocity on the premium APCR, which means that you don't have to give too much lead with the APCR to hit the target you want at distance. And the standard AP rounds, you do have to give a little bit of lead, because 1,000 meters a second is starting to get a bit average in that regard. You have 6 degrees of gun depression on this tank destroyer, which helps you play on a ridgeline a little bit, but it is a little bit restrictive at times, so you've got to really place yourself in the right spot. You have 0.29 accuracy with the setup that I have, which is pretty decent. That's pretty damn accurate for a tier 6 tank destroyer, which is nice. You've got 1.93 second aim time with this 90mm gun, which means that the gun does aim in pretty damn quickly, with a 0.87 accuracy during rotation and a 2.45 accuracy during movement. That is really not that bad for a tank destroyer, which means the gun doesn't bloom out all that much. And then add in the 1.93 second aim time, the gun just, yeah, it zooms in and you are ready to go. You've got 448 meters of view range, which means you can spot for yourself quite handily in this vehicle for a tier 6 tank destroyer, because a lot of the tier 6 and tier 5 tank destroyers are completely blind, so being able to get up to 448 meters of view range with the build that we've got is pretty decent for this kind of vehicle. And you've got 243 meters of still concealment, which is beautiful. If you set this tank up for pure stealth, you're going to have a good time. And that is where you want to be, because, to be honest, this is a very conventional tank destroyer in the way it plays. You do not want to push too aggressively, because if you do, you're going to see exactly what happened in this game, which is we pushed forward, we got spotted, and everything went, ooh, a little ARL V39, don't mind if I do, and farmed all of our hit points in the absolute blink of an eye, and that was absolute pain. And that is what happens with the ARL V39, because this tank has absolutely no armor. It means that if anything looks at you, they will sneeze at you and you will blow up. If anything's got a derp gun, by the way, they can pen that thing on top, which is a really ugly weak spot. They can actually pen that. A lot of the derp guns might do that, so you've got to be very, very careful of that in the ARL V39, and yeah, again, you can just evaporate in the blink of an eye, which is absolute pain. You do have 42 km/h top speed as well, with a 16.78 horsepower per ton ratio, which means you do hit the 42 km/h top speed, but you're not the fastest tank destroyer in the universe, so that can be a little bit of a pain point for you in this vehicle. I say this isn't the best tank destroyer in the world, but it's also not that bad. If you play it to its strengths of playing that further back support role, you know, sniping from the back, that is what this tank will do. And this 90mm gun does get you there as well, because, like I say, the accuracy is pretty nice. You've got pretty decent DPM, good penetration, etc. You can have a pretty good time with this 90mm for all that kind of playstyle. The only downside for me for this 90mm gun, and the reason I prefer the 105, is the fact that you don't really have the alpha. So when I'm hitting people, I feel like I'm hitting them for 240, which is nice, especially if you're facing tier 5s, but when you're going against tier 7s and 8s, 240 starts to become a bit more average, and I don't feel like I'm hurting them as much as I am if I'm firing the 105 and firing the 330mm, or 330 damage APCR rounds, you know? So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment on this vehicle? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Steady Aim, Camouflage Expertise, Silent Driving, Muffled Shot, and Green Thumb. And then in terms of the equipment, I run the Advanced Loader, the Camo Net, and Optics. Optics to be able to spot for myself so I can get up to that 448 metres of view range. The Camo Net to knock it down to that 243 metres of still concealment. And the Advanced Loader to make the best of the DPM. The Green Thumb on this vehicle so that I can increase my camouflage while in concealment. The Silent Driving for keeping my concealment while on the move, the Muffled Shot for reducing the effect of firing on my camo, and the Camouflage Expertise to knock the camo down in general. Steady Aim to make sure this gun is 10% more accurate, and, well, all the other perks are generally what you're going to take on every tank in World War II, including the Steady Aim. I've taken a very, very stealthy build on this vehicle, and that is because, especially at this tier, camo can be king. If you can get your camouflage down to an extremely low level and make it extremely hard to get detected, you will have a great time in this type of tank destroyer, and especially with this vehicle being so thinly armoured and very much a glass cannon, it is nice to have that very, very good camouflage. You can use that to very good effect, and especially at this tier where a lot of view range is exceptionally low, you can abuse the camouflage very, very much, and you will have a great time. I mean, if you're an ARL V39 trying to spot yourself, for example, with this build, you're going to have a very rough time trying to see yourself, and that is why we've set it up so stealthily. So, yeah, the ARL V39. We've had a decent time so far with this 90mm gun on Siegfried Line. We're up to 2.8k damage, 291 assistance, and we have got 2 kills. It's currently 3-2, which is still a bit on a knife's edge. I know there's still a artillery in play, but we don't know where the light tank is and we don't know where the artillery is. We are a one-shot, and there we go, we find the GW Panther. I don't fire at this point because I don't want him to just snapshot me and hit me, and I think, you know what, I could actually load HE here and go through his superstructure. I didn't think I'd get spotted there, but actually what was keeping me unspotted was those bushes between me and the GW Panther. And the moment the GW Panther moved into a position where there was no bush between us anymore, it meant that he actually saw me. And that's why I got detected there when I wasn't spotted for so long and we were moving backwards and they were moving backwards. It's because we actually moved into a position where the bushes weren't covering us. But also, by the way, we chose a really bad time to load HE. But we're loading HE now to go for this GW Panther, and this is why. So we can go through that little superstructure there, 342, because naturally we have, I think it's 340 average on this HE round. And we are putting the hurt into the GW Panther there. Sadly, we aimed a little bit too low, and that meant the HE round didn't pen and kill the GW Panther with the last shot. But it is what it is. It's actually 320 average, by the way, with the HE on this vehicle, not 340. So we were rolling actually quite good with that HE. But anyway, the TD managed to actually shut down the GW Panther, and there's only one tank left on the enemy team. It is this Rover. And you can see I'm hugging this pillbox as much as possible, so that, well, if that happens, it was giving him such a limited target. He actually hits us on the move, on the snap, which happens all the time, which is pain for a vehicle like this, and he hit my tracks only. He's now a one-shot. We're aiming through the gap. Thank you, sir, for coming straight into my reticle, and we finish off the Rover there for a pretty darn nice total, for the ARL V39. I'm finished with the 3 kills, 4.2k damage, nearly 320 assistance, the ace tank of the high caliber, with the 2.1 and nearly 2.2k base XP. A great game there for the ARL V39. Showed off how it wanted to play, and also, to be fair, how it doesn't want to play, because with that game, you saw us playing the conventional way it wants to play. You know, we're sitting further back, sitting in concealment, firing the gun, being patient, waiting for the damage to flow, people to make mistakes, etc. And the moment we decided, okay, I'm pushing forward, it went very badly very quickly. We lost all of our hit points in the blink of an eye. And to be fair, we got a little bit lucky that we probably survived that situation. And we got away with it. But then we made the most of that as well. And we had a pretty damn nice game. But now we're on to the second replay. In the second replay, we are against Tier 8, which is not great, right? And we are using the 105mm gun. Now, this 105mm gun, I would say, it's the same gun that you'll get on the MXM 445. It's the same gun that you will get on the ARL 44 as well. This gun, you want to fire full APCR. And the reason for that is because, number one, you get better penetration, right, at 223mm of penetration, which is great. That's enough to go through most tanks you're going to face as a Tier 6 tank destroyer. There's only be some of the super heavy Tier 8s that you will struggle with. But the reason that I fire the APCR is because it has 330 alpha. The standard round, with 165 penetration, hits for 300. So with the premium round, for some reason, you get an extra 30 alpha damage. So you want to fire the premium APCR if you use this gun. That is the way to play it. If you do not mind firing premium rounds, you want to play this gun, because this gun is phenomenal, right? The DPM is pretty damn nice with it, because it's about 2.7k, I think it is, with the premium APCR. It's still 2005, nearly 2006 with the standard AP, but you've got an extra 30 alpha with the premium round, so it's a little bit higher with that. And you can slap rounds down range. Now, naturally, the shell velocity isn't quite as good. It's 850 meters a second shell velocity on the standard round, 1063 on the premium round, which means your premium round is, so the round that you're going to be firing with this 105 is only a little bit faster than the standard round of the 90mm. You've got 2.12 second aim time with this gun, so it is a little bit slower to get the gun aimed in as well, but you've got a higher alpha, so naturally that's the way it's going to be. Your accuracy during rotation is 1.1, and your accuracy during movement is 2.65, with your accuracy at 0.32 with the build that we have, which means, again, it's not as accurate. Its gun will bloom out more than the 90mm, so you have to wait for a bit longer to get it aimed in, but you're hitting for 330 alpha, and that's where it starts to feel a little bit nicer as a tank destroyer, and that's where I have my preference. This is why I play it. This tank is about preference and how you want to play the tank, because with tank destroyers, if I'm playing a tank destroyer, I don't want to be playing a lower alpha tank destroyer. I want to be hitting harder, and the 330 alpha gun lets me do that, and I feel more satisfied playing a tank destroyer with higher alpha than I do playing it with, say, 240 alpha. So this gun is the one for me. You've just got to be comfortable with the fact that you will be firing a lot of premium rounds, because that's where the speciality of this gun is that fact that you do get that 330 alpha on the premium round as opposed to 300 on the standard round. So this game so far on Live Oaks, we've taken this bush, and we've managed to get 2.6k damage so far, playing as that conventional tank destroyer. We've taken the bush, we've used our great camo, waited for the people to spot, and then shot where the opportunity arises. And we've put in quite a bit of hurt to the Tier 8s. And again, this is where the 330 alpha is nice, right? Because it feels like we're actually hitting them, and we actually feel like we're damaging them, as opposed to hitting them for 240. We're hitting them for more like 330, 340. That extra 100 damage counts for a lot. And we're just waiting. You saw me knock down the tree. I knocked down the tree so that I had some more concealment between me and the other guys on their hill. Now we're waiting for a shot on this VK45028. There's no point shooting at this point. We are not going to kill this guy with that. Someone shoots the cover down. There we go. We can put a shot straight through his lower plate and finish off that VK45028. There was no point wasting a shot there at that guy, because we were never going to pen him in that situation. But now's the time to move up, because there's a motherland currently being attacked by all three of those guys. They still have 6 people left, but pretty much everyone on their team is either at E2 or in the dip at H1. So we pull up into the little bush here to cover the motherland, and we manage to shut down the CS-53. Again, the camo helping out. We're pulling back so that the bush is not opaque, or is more opaque, sorry. It's not see-through, is what we're going for. And that way that when we're shooting at the Sturm Tiger P, with all of the camo skills, with the camo crew, these guys were really struggling to spot us, and we were firing at, 200-300 meters without them seeing us, because of the concealment that we were using there. Which is why, again, we pulled back. If you are in a bush, and you are looking through the bush, and you can see perfectly through it, it's completely clear, that means you are not getting the full effectiveness of the camo of that bush. If you pull back to the point where it's opaque, and you can only see the outlines through the bush, that's where you're getting the full effectiveness of that bush for your camo, and that's going to make it harder for the enemy tanks to spot you, which again is why the GW Panther couldn't spot us through the bush, But the moment it moved to a position where there was no bush between the both of us, he ended up spotting me, right? But we loaded HE for that Iron Rain. We didn't really need it in the end, but we did manage to finish him off, and we get the 3 kills, 3.4k damage, the Ace Tanker, the Halonen's Medal for destroying 3 tanks 2 tiers higher, 1932 base XP. A pretty damn nice game there for the ARL, especially in a get matchup that's not very good. Again, just showing off the ARL how it wants to be played. It wants to be played as that passive sniper in a bush, using the fantastic camo it can get, and then you've got 2 pretty damn good gun choices. Just remember that if you are going to use the 105mm gun that this vehicle gets, you are pretty much going to have to be firing the premium rounds to get the best out of it. And that's because it's just got that higher alpha, like I say. So, if you did enjoy the video, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success.